And you are good.
All right, I'm going to start off. I'm going to do what my man Ted Cruz did yesterday. It was a beautiful move. He challenged the Democrats in his committee to say a negative word about Antifa, any negative word, just anything, condemn, criticize Antifa, and they wouldn't do it. So would you, Alex Reimer, will you say a negative word about Antifa, these scum, these maggots who are burning yesterday, last night, this morning? They tried to burn down the police union building again. They broke in. They've been burning Bibles. They've been attacking innocent people. They've permanently blinded police officers. And for some reason, Democrats, including the moron Mazie Hirono, who stormed off, got up and left because Cruz said, just say one negative word, one thing, and she couldn't do it. Can you do it? Can you say a negative word about Antifa? I guess not. He's left. I knew I could get him to storm off. I knew it. In honor of the late great Gary Tangway, Reimer just took off his headsets and stormed off.
That's enough for me. Would you ask me to criticize my firstborn, Jerry? Is the question. I mean, no, I'm not going to criticize Antifa because I don't even know what they are yet. I still don't think they're real. No, I don't even understand what they are. Nobody believes what they're real organizations. So what? I mean, anarchists are intrinsic. They're unorganized by definition, right? Anarchists. So how could they be anarchists?
So you will not criticize this
because I don't even know what they are. And like Mazie Hirono, I think it is a distraction to talk about Antifa when we have again nearly 160,000 dead Americans due to the coronavirus. Can we focus on something that's important here?
Well, then blame your friends in Antifa. They're the ones who are diverting attention. It's 65, 66 nights in a row. I want to know when the cops are going to use real bullets because I think they should. If they take a laser and blind you, cause permanent damage to your eyes, you should have the right to shoot real bullets.
Here's my question: why do you care? Like this Portland protest, do you like watching it because it's like a video game for you? Like it's like Call of Duty or something? Like what is this toxic masculinity?
I like watching it because I can't understand it. I mean, these are young white. I see the mugshots. The guy Andy No, the best follow on Twitter, who is out there undercover. They hate him. He was on Laura Ingraham last night. She asked him 2 questions. He was on for 5 minutes. As I tweeted, it's not enough. I want to hear from this guy every day. He's undercover, taking photos, video of these anarchists and covering everything they do. And the Democrats don't like that. They somehow want this to be a peaceful protest. It's not. But they literally, and I heard a whole description of what these lasers do. These cops come to work and they're told, do not look at the lasers. Look away, avert your eyes, or it will cause permanent damage. It will be bad for Trump. It'll be good for your side that want to overthrow the country if they shoot them. But at some point, you have to shoot them. All right? That's what I think.
Why? Because they're protesting?
I just explained to you they're causing permanent damage to the eyeballs of police officers. I love this. Reimer rolls his eyes like, oh, just a little blindness. What's a little blindness?
Well, you can be a popular sidekick on a popular Barstool podcast if you're blind. I mean, that's a nice career path. Why don't they go into that?
That's the main guy now.
Well, you're right. Yes, you're right. That's your main competition now, Jerry.
Oh, it is? Yeah.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What is Blind Mike?
Yeah. It's your main competition now.
I didn't view it as competition.
I wonder which one Dave would choose if given the choice.
Between Jerry and Blind Mike?
Dave Conan or Dave Portnoy?
Can I have a minute to think about that?
See, he needs a minute to think about that. But I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, like these poor. It's like, why do you care so much? Is my question about a courthouse in Portland.
I'll tell you why I care so much. It's the same reason. Like Oprah yesterday complaining about income inequality and how tough it is, for Black Americans to make it. Oprah's worth $3 billion. She's a great American success story. Do people like Oprah or LeBron James or the many middle and upper class punks in Antifa ever stop and realize how good they got it? I mean, do you have a real, you do, I think you appreciate this country.
I absolutely, I appreciate my father's bank account. Is what I appreciate.
What would have happened if Oprah
It's gone
grew
now
up,
after coronavirus anyway. So
if Oprah grew up, I don't know, in China. In China, there are stores, there are malls where they do not let black people enter. And Oprah and LeBron James and Colin Kaepernick, and I just hate the ingratitude. It is a great country with great opportunity, as they show every day, prove every day. And yet you rarely hear them say that. You rarely hear them say a
so
good
what?
word.
I mean, do you work for Nesson? You don't want any criticism of the home team? I mean, just because you love
say that. I asked you this one day, and I still remember you wouldn't answer. Is America the greatest country that God has ever created?
I don't know. No, I will. Right now, it is not. No, I do not feel like we live in the greatest country that God has ever created right now. Jerry, we have a society that can't function. So no, I don't think this is a great country right now.
Now I'm going to get all the texts and the tweets saying, "Why do you put him on? He sucks." And
why? Because these babies can't handle a little criticism of the U.S. of A. I mean, again, are they all?
What is the greatest country then, Alex? Tell me. What do you think of the greatest?
Germany's looking pretty good right now.
Huh?
Yeah, Norway's nice. Iceland is a good place to live. I mean, anywhere where they can give health care to all of their citizens is a better place than us, especially right now.
We give health care to all our citizens. Do you even know what Medicaid is? Do you even know what it is?
Yeah, right. But we still have millions of Americans who are uninsured.
Well, if they're poor, they can get on Medicaid.
Well, then why are there millions who are uninsured? They just don't know how to sign up.
I guess so. I don't know. I'll ask you. They're your people. Why don't they sign up?
Because I think it's a lot harder than you would think. Yes.
And I could think of lots of countries where you couldn't be you and be yourself unless you want to get thrown off a building.
Right, but I'm not saying I want to move to, the United Arab Emirates, but I would happily move to anywhere in the European Union, for example. I think would be fine.
There was I forget her name. I'll look it up. A black woman yesterday made a big deal of leaving the country. She doesn't want to raise her children, black children, in the U.S. because police brutality. She's moving to Mexico. Where the police are owned and operate. Are a wholly owned subsidiary of the cartels. That's great. That's a much better place to raise children in Juarez.
I went missing in Cancun once on a family vacation years ago, and the police didn't really care that I was gone. My parents, I think, reported it or something, and they're like, "Yeah, he's out having fun. He'll go."
Where were you? Where were you during this time? Oh, okay. Here we go.
Great, Alex.
Alex is
he's frozen
turn off again, I guess. Can't handle it. I
was going to ask him, all things being equal, if he got the same job offer, and one was in the US and one was, I don't know, let's just say it was in Paris or something like that, would he go to Paris over staying in the US? And let's just say his family and friends, or let's just duplicate everything. All things being equal, does he leave? I wonder.
Of course not. And none of them would. I mean, I don't even know if this woman, I'm going to get her name, who said she's going to move to Mexico to raise her family. She probably is not going. It's like all the celebrities who say, if Trump gets elected, Alec Baldwin and these types, Barbara Streisand, I'm leaving the country. They never actually do. But I'm going to get the name of this crazy woman and ask the question, where else? What's a better place than the U.S.? Alex doesn't know.
I'm back. I have no idea what happened there. Was I thrown off? Was I censored, you think, by social media companies?
Of course not. We would never do that to you. We would never do that to you.
What do you think happened? I didn't even say my story about getting lost in Cancun. And the police didn't care.
What happened to you? Where were you? When they finally found you, or when you finally surfaced, where were you?
I was at a club in Cancun with a friend of mine and went missing. This is when I was first gay, so it was all so new to me. This was all so new to me, this world. Yes. And I actually was kissing my friend in a club, and they threw us out. So Cancun.
And yet you sit there and criticize this great country that lets you dress up.
Well, it depends on
chaps on stilts in your pride parades.
I couldn't walk on stilts. I can't even walk in heels. Never mind stilts. It's difficult.
Oh, could you get Tangway? Can we bring Tangway in?
We gotta get
this
Tangway
lunatic. But so if Trump wins re-election, will you think about leaving? Will you think about packing up and leaving? As Cullinane just asked, if you could do the same job, make the same money in Paris, would you move?
See, here's my thing. The language barrier is always going to be a big obstacle. I don't speak any other language.
Let's say you speak the language. You speak the language and you can duplicate your family. All things.
What about London?
Friends, everything.
Yeah, I would actually consider it. I mean, do you think this is a good country right now, Jerry? How's our economy going with the the virus?
You think it just hit us? I mean, it kind of is a worldwide crisis.
No, but it's way worse here than pretty much anywhere else except Russia and Brazil. Who rules those countries?
I mean, I think it's worse here. Do you think it's worse here than African countries or the Middle East? Do you think it's worse?
I don't know.
Beirut? What about Beirut? You think you'd like to be there today?
I'm not comparing the U.S., the richest country in the world, to Lebanon. I'm comparing this to other Western countries that weren't nearly as affected by this, with terms of death and economic destruction. We're the worst in the world, the developed world.
And we're sitting here in Massachusetts, the worst state in the nation, run by a out of control tyrant who's crushed small businesses, just crushed the life out of the private sector, and we have the highest unemployment rate in America.
What's crushed the life out of small business, Jerry? Is
I
the
would
fact
place
that we
the
can't
blame on the governors and the mayors more than anything.
I place the blame on all of our leaders. I mean, we had a lockdown in March and April and suffered all of the devastation of a lockdown, but we didn't get any of the benefits. We don't have a robust national testing plan. We don't have a robust national contact tracing plan. We do? Then how come it takes 14 Jerry, how come it takes 14 days to get tests back in so many areas of the country?
You see how fast the NBA does it? Doesn't.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And baseball too. Oh, the baseball has delays as well.
Before you get to how, we just got to get rid of the evil orange man and everything will be all better. Yeah. And I know how this works. We've seen it. These teachers unions are refusing to go back to work because of Trump. People, governors and mayors are refusing to open up the economy because of Trump, because their guy is so freaking feeble. Have you heard the latest Joe Biden interview? I don't even know who the guy's interviewing him. It's a black guy. Black guy asked Joe Biden about, a cognitive test. Trump says he took a cognitive test and passed with flying colors. And
he's so proud. He passed a dementia test.
He passed and he knew the numbers and he knew the things in order, car, toaster, whatever it was.
Woman, man, TV, camera.
He did better than Alex Reimer, who's in his 20s. And so obviously the question is directed to Biden. Would you take it or have you taken it? And Biden I want to play the whole minute clip. This is a minute clip of Joe Biden after being asked a perfectly reasonable question by an African-American reporter.
Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his test and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
Well, if he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Did you watch that? Look, come on, man. I know you're trying to goad me, but I mean, I'm so forward looking to have an opportunity to sit with the president or stand with the president in debates. There's going to be plenty of time. And by the way, as I joke with him, I shouldn't say it. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say. Anyway, I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
There you go.
We know there's a little device he has when he says, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. That means he forgot what he was going to say. That man needs to take that cognitive test. This is him still in his basement, still everything controlled, choreographed. This is supposed to be a friendly interview. You can't defend that babbling, feeble old man who thinks, and by the way, taking a drug test is standard procedure in most companies. So that guy probably did take a drug test and prove that he wasn't on cocaine when they hired him. Not unreasonable, nor would it be unreasonable to want a man to take a cognitive test when he's running for the highest office in the land, the toughest, most stressful job in the world. That is what you just saw in that 1 minute and 9-second clip is the reason for everything. It's the reason schools aren't opening. It's the reason businesses aren't opening. It's the reason.
Why? What? Biden's lack of mental acuity is
because all those things help Biden, and Biden needs all the help he can get. The only chance, and I don't care what the polls say. Trump's making a little comeback. It's pretty close. It doesn't matter what the polls say. If you're a Democrat invested in this man, you must do whatever it takes to get him elected. You just saw that clip. That man is going to go out on the stump and campaign. That man's going to debate. His wife went on with Dana Perino yesterday, which was kind of odd. Went on Fox News yesterday and said the debates are already set up. He's going to debate. I know all his friends in the media, all the people at the New York Times, Washington Post are trying to start this campaign where there will be no debates to protect him. That's all they care about. Again, it's the reason for everything. It's the reason for everything they write, everything they report.
Okay.
To get him, to help him over the finish line. Well, his wife / handler / marionette, she went on with Dana Perino and said they will debate. That man you just heard, Alex, is going to debate for an hour and a half against Donald Trump. Not a great debater, but certainly a unpredictable guy in a debate. He's going to attack Biden. Biden is going to, the bar will be low, but he's going to embarrass himself, and it's going to be a tough sell. It's going to be
my only question is Trump going to bring out his charts that show, that U.S. is last in the world, which means we're first in the world. It's like,
you know what? You're probably right. It'll just be all this stuff about testing and contact tracing, which nobody cares about right now.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody cares about curtailing the coronavirus because it hasn't affected us much. You're right. Nobody cares.
Again, if it weren't for the governors, if it weren't for the ineptitude of Cuomo and Murphy and Baker in the Northeast, is the death toll's way down, correct? The death rate's way down. We know that.
No, it
means we're protecting the vulnerable.
We have like 1,000 deaths a day. That's a lot of death.
Well, we're protecting the vulnerable. We've learned how to do that. We've learned that from Florida and Texas.
Yeah,
and
Florida's done a really nice job.
There aren't as many seniors left.
Do you really think Florida's done a good job?
Absolutely. You want to go over the death rates? We'll go over it again. We'll go over it again if you want. I know this is just so tiresome. It really is. It's just so tiresome. Quick, as I look up, the rates in the country, I want you to just list the top 3 things that Trump did wrong. I'll do Cuomo after you go first.
Ignore his daily presidential briefing in January. They notes about the coronavirus. He ignored it.
That's not
instituting.
True. That's 100% untrue. That is absolutely false.
What do you mean it's absolutely false?
Yeah, absolutely false. Again, 10 days after the first case, he shut down flights from China.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Here we go again. Oh my God!
And there were still
Alex.
10,000 people who got in after that. At least from China.
Yeah, U.S. citizens. You and U.S. citizens.
Right. Well,
you didn't want to allow U.S. citizens to return home.
You're right. I didn't. No, but there's
give me number 2. Give me number 2.
For fuck's sake. They're still coming from China, which means they're still.
Give me number 2. The first thing you said was absolutely false.
Every expert agrees that travel bans are kind of fruitless anyway. What else did we set
up? What are you talking about? No, that's not what Fauci said. Your guy, Fauci, he said it saved tens of thousands of lives.
Okay, I point me to when he said that. What else did we fail? When we had a lockdown for a couple weeks in March, we didn't set up any sort of federal testing program. We still have to wait 10, 14 days in so many areas of the country to get a test. Absolutely true. And the other big bungle is that we don't have nearly enough assistance to help people get through this economic depression.
We don't have enough assistance?
No.
Well, people didn't go to work because they were getting $600 from the tooth fairy every week. That didn't help.
Our GDP contract, Jerry.
We spent trillions in economic assistance, but anyway,
and a lot of it went to Trump's buddies and with the PPP loans. Jerry. We had Wall Street. There's never been a bigger transfer of wealth from quote unquote Main Street to Wall Street in the history of this country. This blows the 2008 financial recession way out of the water. We did not get real relief to real people and real small business largely.
Massachusetts is 1/3 the size of Florida. We have 8,600 deaths. I believe approaching 6,000 in nursing homes.
Yeah, Jerry. How many?
Florida, which has 3 times the more than 3 times the population, and many more seniors, has 7,400 deaths, fewer than tiny little Massachusetts. New York, 32,800 deaths. New Jersey, 15,000 deaths, and Texas, 7,600. Texas, which I believe is the 3rd largest state, 4 times the size of Massachusetts, has fewer deaths. Deaths are what matter. You can talk all day about cases. If a 19-year-old kid gets it and he's better in a week, that doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry. That's not important.
Well, tell me how many deaths we've had in Massachusetts past like May 15th compared to Florida. They have more than us, Jerry. Again, you're talking about March and April where the Northeast was battered, but we got it relatively speaking.
Northeast was mismanaged. It wasn't just battered. You want to talk about Holyoke seniors?
Oh, God. Jerry, I'm so sick of you using these soldiers.
Okay, we're talking about mismanaging. Mismanaging the crisis, correct?
Nobody uses the soldiers as symbols more than you to point up whatever
using them.
Arguments
they were
want.
killed. They died. I know that doesn't matter to you because they're veterans. I know that doesn't matter, but we're talking about mismanagement, and I'm telling you,
terrible.
The governors.
It was terribly mismanaged.
Again, I asked for 3 things: Trump and
I
the
told
task
you.
force. Pence did wrong, and you've got nothing.
I told you, Jerry, that we ignored this in January. We didn't set up any sort of federal testing program.
Stop right there. Stop right there. What month did he shut down flights from China? What month was that?
Like January 30th.
Correct. That was January 31st.
Great.
The next day.
Jerry, and at the end of February, Dr. Nancy Messonnier, was a top official at the CDC, said we should expect extreme disruptions to our daily lives, and she was benched after that. Trump said in February this would go away. We'll have literally 0 cases. Like the week before he said everything.
Jerry, I asked you what he did, and you got nothing. All you do is talk about what he said, what he tweeted. Tweeted. When I ask you what he did, you got nothing. He shuts down the flights, and the next day, Biden calls him a racist and a xenophobe.
Your brain has turned to mush. You used to be a great radio host. It's quite sad. You're ranting and raving like an Alzheimer's patient in your bunker in Maine. I mean, Jerry,
I'm ranting and raving like what?
Like an Alzheimer's patient. I mean, you can't.
An all-timer, like an all-time great?
Yes, you're an all-time great lunatic, is what you are.
All-time great. I mean, I got you.
Because the issue is, Jerry. We have nearly 160,000 deaths in America. Why did it hit us way worse than every other country? Because we didn't have a testing plan. We didn't take it seriously. We never really instituted
The governors did not take it seriously. You are correct. The governors, like Cuomo, like Murphy, put coronavirus positive patients in nursing homes and wiped out nursing homes. That's 32,000 of your 160 were in New York, correct? At least 6,000 were killed by Cuomo. Your guy, who's still
like Cuomo.
Well, Democrats do. They love him. He'll get reelected.
I'm not really a Democrat.
He'll still be a rumored presidential candidate somehow.
I don't like Cuomo. I mean, Cuomo's
the 32,000 dead.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, Cuomo put in cuts to Medicare and Medicaid during this. So no, I'm not a fan of Cuomo at all. I don't know why you say that.
Because Democrats are. That's why.
Well, I'm not a fan of it.
Rating is high. Well, good for you. You're coming around.
Yeah. I mean, the death rate for Florida has trended upwards the last couple months. Well, it's plummeted in the Northeast. They're getting hit way harder now. I mean, yes, it was terrible here in March and April, and cases are slightly rising again here. But I mean, you're like out of date. Again, your info on the coronavirus, you stopped like March 3rd taking an info.
I just gave you all the numbers up to date today, up to today. Okay?
Yeah, well, give me the death total since June 1. I mean, Florida,
why don't you do that?
Arizona, way more.
Why don't you do that?
Well, because I pay attention to the news and know that cases have been rising exponentially there for 2-3 months.
3,900 dead. Again, Massachusetts, 8,600. Georgia, which was the first state to open up, the governor was, they were accused of a experiment in human sacrifice by the New York Times.
Jerry,
experiment in human sacrifice. They have fewer than half the deaths of Massachusetts, little Massachusetts. But anyway,
last week Florida had its highest. Last week Florida had its highest death rate ever of 120 COVID deaths. We don't have those numbers in Massachusetts right now. Daily deaths. We're not in the triple figures. We have Well, I mean, Jay, because they're going through a big surge
I look forward to this because the case, you're making, obviously it's irrational and mostly inaccurate, but it's at least, you're putting a couple sentences together talking about Alzheimer's patients.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think your candidate could do that. I don't think Joe Biden. Every day I look at him. I just watched that video this morning. I said, "Thank God that you nominated an absolutely feeble old man in the throes of dementia. Because if this were a reasonably articulate, lucid candidate, even a Buttigieg or Klobuchar, even Warren, who I despise, and they would be on TV every day. They'd be surrounded, obviously, by friendly media, but they wouldn't be in a bunker. They wouldn't have their wife controlling them. They would be making a passionate, somewhat articulate case against the president, and the media would be cheering them on. They can't do that now. They can't even try, fake it now. They know he's so just over his head. I mean, it's just so over the hill that they can't. That the campaign now is, we should have no debates. He should stay in the bunker. He should say nothing. That's the strategy of the guy that wants to run, the country. It gives us hope. It gives the people who still believe in this country, who still love this country, hope that we will indeed defeat, Antifa. We'll defeat Omar and Presley and AOC and Bernie. All the radicals are there hoping, praying that they can carry Biden over the finish line. But let's just hope. If you love this country, if you want to keep it, this country, that just hope that he continues to stumble and bumble until November 3rd, or he comes and completely self-destructs in the debates. And I don't see anybody, maybe you do, on his VP list who's going to be able to save him. Do you?
Save him? He's leading in every state. What do you mean save him?
Well, I just explained to you, Alex, that lead that's not going to last if he dares debate, if he goes out in this.
So when we have another,
guy we just heard from, you think that guy can win on his own, can win on November 3rd?
Yeah, he is now. I mean, you don't need to do much, as Biden is showing us, by just sitting in his basement while we have, again, the worst coronavirus response in the developed world, and we're totally ravaged. I mean, our unemployment rate, 13%. I mean, what's going to happen in the fall when we have an even greater resurgence of this virus? We still have no plan. We have a president who refuses to acknowledge it's happening. We don't have an extension enhanced unemployment benefits.
Good.
We don't have a moratorium on evictions. So we have a mass homeless crisis. We have even greater economic crisis. The virus is still out of control. I think that a cardboard box could probably beat Trump in November if this continues, unless of course there's a lot of cheating, which there probably will be, and then that's how Trump wins.
That's true. You guys are already cheating.
Explain to me how come Trump is so anti-mail-in voting? That's his big thing for months, even though it's the same as absentee voting. But fine, he's anti-mail-in voting. But then how come he yesterday tweets out that Floridians should do mail-in voting? So I don't understand.
They know how to do it. This is just another stunt. Just another way to cheat. That's why you're doing it. That's why Democrats are doing it in Nevada right now. You know that. I mean, you won't admit it, but if you were going to be honest, you'd say yes. It is a way for
How
us
is mail-in voting different than absentee voting?
That's it.
How?
Do you really not know? Do you really not know? You have to request.
Jerry, I've done both. I've done absentee voting, and what happens is you request a ballot, you fill out an application, like mail-in voting. I got a ballot mailed to me the other week, an application rather mailed to me the other week, and you fill it out, and they send you a ballot that you mail back in. It's the same as absentee voting.
It is not. It is not. You get one. Okay. Do you want me to answer or not? Okay. You're really driving me nuts today. I don't know why. You're an idiot every time, and sometimes you entertain me. Today you're driving me nuts. Do you want me to answer or not? Here's what drives me nuts. I admit, you're lying. You're lying right now. There's a difference. You know why they're pushing this mail-in ballot thing.
Because we have a pandemic.
Okay, so you can have 100,000 people march in the street because of George Floyd, but you can't go to a polling place. You can go to Target and Home Depot and Whole Foods, but you can't go to the polling place and vote? I have that right?
But Jerry, not everybody voting.
Do I have that right?
Jerry,
you want to shut down the stores because we have a pandemic.
You can choose to not go to a George Floyd protest. You can choose to not go to Target or Home Depot. If you're an American citizen, you should be able to vote safely. That's the difference.
Again, you can. You know that. You're totally aware of that. You can social distance, wear your mask, and vote. Everybody
I'm
knows
not
that.
afraid of going to the polls because I'm 27, healthy, and in great fucking shape. But most of our country, like more than 40% of people, are obese. I'll take off my shirt right now. I've never had a better.
Good. You know what? I think we should change the rules. I don't want obese people voting. I don't want them voting.
Great. Democrats would win. Fine.
No. Obese people are all Democrats. They're
all Republicans. They're all old and obese and
I don't want Gerald Nadler voting.
Even before the coronavirus.
That's my.
I don't want Trump voting. There you go.
He's 1 pound. He's 1 pound short of being obese. 1 pound. Let's not go overboard.
Have you voted absentee before, though?
Yes. When I was in college.
So you request
a ballot. They don't send a bunch of ballots to your house.
They don't
say, fill them out, and then some guy comes through the neighborhood and picks them up.
Jerry, they send applications for ballots first. I got an application for a mail-in ballot. Did you?
I did, and I threw it away.
So they mailed you an application that you then fill out, and then after that, you get your ballot.
Okay, and you know what else you do? You get them for the whole house, the whole apartment. You get them for dead people. You get them for people who don't want to vote.
Absentee
and you
voting.
fill them out.
Right.
And you take a whole bundle of them, and you fill it out for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and you send it in, and they don't check. And God knows. That's exactly what the Democrats want. That's what the plan is, and you know it. Do you know
what? Do you know what I want to be? I'm into Bass.
You're into what?
Karen Bass.
I thought you said baths.
I am. Why? I like
Karen Bass. I'm hoping she's my new favorite. I'm hoping. I've all along I've been hoping for Liz Warren just because I want to see her lose again. I'm really not sure what the rationale would be for picking Liz Warren, who came in third in her home state, a state that Biden will win easily. So what's the point? Of course, Karen Bass and Kamala Harris are from California. I don't know what the point of that is. You're going to win that easily, too. But, God, that would be great. And I agree. You're a radical. You're a socialist. You're a Bernie bro. She's to the left of Bernie Sanders. She's, as we know, she loved Fidel Castro. She loves, the Cuban Revolution. That ought to go over big in Florida. I heard one analyst say he's already lost Florida just by considering Karen Bass.
I'm so sick of that. I mean, talk about an irrelevant issue in 2020. I mean, her feelings on Cuba from 30 years ago or whatever. Who cares?
It wasn't 30 years ago. It was 4 years ago, but I don't want to.
It was not 4 years. Oh, the Castro statement. I know. It was a nice statement about great Fidel Castro.
He was great for the Cuban people, and it was a great loss.
Well, he did provide health care to everybody, as we covered. It's Biden, Bass, get some ass. That is the slogan. And we're ready for it.
Oh, perfect. What is it? Biden, Bass, get some mask?
Yeah, get some ass. Get a mask. There you go.
Get a mask. Get a mask.
No, get some ass.
Pence would eat her alive in a debate. I'm sorry, but
really? That robot? No, Mike Pence has negative charisma.
No, he's a good debater. He's smart.
I don't think he's that smart.
But who cares? That'll only be one
stare in his eyes.
That'll be one debate. I think he's boxed himself in. It has to be a black woman. The list is short. It has to be someone that you can envision as president as early as, I don't know, end of January?
February. Susie Rice.
February. Oh, that would be great, too. Susie Rice would be so great. She's got such a track record of lying, including her last day in the Obama administration with that email, that self-serving email, the Benghazi, just to see her 5 different TV performances on the day she was lying about Benghazi. She is a world-class liar, and you would see every video of every lie she's ever told. That'd be great. It'd also be Obama's choice, and Obama would work hard, campaign hard for Biden if he chose Susan Rice, but it'd be great. I don't see anybody that's really going to help him, save him, because he needs saving. We just heard his latest interview this morning. He's getting worse.
Dan
Bongino reported, he has a source in the Biden camp who said they're really worried he is in decline.
How could Dan Bongino have a source in the Biden campaign?
I'll tell you how. He's a former Secret Service agent. That's how. And he knows what he's talking about. As I've told you and others many times, I've seen dementia patients, and there's one thing I know is they do not improve. It is a steady decline until it's all over, and he is in decline. And all he has to do in the next 3 months is convince people that he's fit to lead the world. It's not possible. It is just not possible, Alex. But we'll
I'd like to see him with that Axios dude, to be honest with you, because that was kind of, at least it was that guy asked follow-ups in the moment, which you don't typically see. You know, it's just ask a question, they go on the rant, ask the next. That was at least, whether you liked the interview or not, that was at least a collaborative conversation. I would love to see Biden in that same scenario.
I'm telling you, I don't know why Trump did it. It was adversarial. The guy was good and prepared. And
he made Trump look like a fool.
He did, and he would make Biden look worse. And by the way, Chris Wallace is checking every day to see when Biden's going to come on with him. Trump went on with Chris Wallace, who hates him, and he survived. And Trump does these interviews, even though don't appear to be helping him, just to make the case, make the point that he's not afraid, that he's not hiding, that he's accessible, and Biden is not. He's just drawing a distinction.
I don't know if it's that well thought out. I think he just likes to be on TV.
That's part of it. No,
I think that's
here's what he likes, Alex. Here's what he likes is to show that he's not afraid. Look at me. You're right. He likes to be on TV, but you know how you look at Trump like in the Axios interview, and it's kind of uncomfortable, and it wasn't great. But then you compare it to Biden's interview with this guy this morning, and he's better than. But I also compare Trump to other people, and I sit there and I go, can he let Kayleigh McEnany do this? Can he just let her do this? Because she's so much better on the stump or on her feet than he is. But I guess he wants to show that he's still got it. You know, he brags about his mental acuity, which is another thing that he has all over Joe Biden. Joe Biden was saying yesterday to Dana Perino, he goes, they're almost the same age. Like, they're 3.5 years difference. That's a long time when your mind is going. 3.5, 4 years, that's a long time. There is a big difference. Maybe when Trump is 78, he will be as confused as Biden is. Maybe that's coming. It's not there yet.
My advice to Biden would be short and sweet. Just short and sweet. If you go back to that clip we played, the first 30 seconds were pretty good. And then he should have just stopped talking. He just rambles on and on and on, and he has nothing to say. So it's a disaster. Short and sweet for Biden, 30 seconds or less. Boom.
You know, we were talking yesterday about the ratings of sports, and I know you track this stuff. MLB and NBA are way down. Part of it is politics. I firmly believe that, especially in the NBA. People are sick of it. Sick of everything. Kneeling, T-shirts, Black Lives Matter on the court, the statements, they're just enough.
Charlie Kirk is not watching.
Well, I'm not either. Are you?
I have to stay sharp for CBS Sports Radio.
Oh, that's right.
The Rockets beat the Bucks the other night. It was a good game.
And the highest rated sports last weekend was golf, because they're not taking knees and, raising their fists and wearing these T-shirts and putting slogans on their shirts. And it'll happen again this week, by the way. There's a major. There's a PGA. It's not the best major, but there's a major. Golf will beat baseball and basketball again this weekend. Football is a whole other story. They can get as political as they want, and they will.
But in fairness, people are canceling cable at such a crazy clip right now, and all the sports are on cable channels. In fairness,
all the NBA games are on cable. Is that true?
TNT. I mean, mostly on cable. So
and that it is interesting. I mean, because baseball opening night actually had a very strong number, and they've been going down.
And then after that, off the cliff.
And NBA too had a good weekend, but I mean, I think a lot of it too is people just. It feels very childish to be watching sports right now with virtual fans and cardboard cutouts with everything going on, right? I mean, how can you don't you wonder, with everything going on in the world, how can you be locked into, the Bucks benching Giannis and Chris Middleton yesterday?
That's a good question. And Portnoy tweeted that out, and everybody
did.
It said it just feels like preseason. It feels contrived. I don't even know the rules. Like, they're talking about teams getting eliminated, and I say eliminated. And, I don't know. I told a story the other day, Reimer, that I played golf last week, and a guy I don't know, a friend of mine I was playing with, he says, I'll bring someone else, and he brought up NHL, an active NHL player, and I meet him, and I'm, how you doing? I go, shouldn't you be playing? He's like, no, we didn't make it. And I go, make what? I didn't know that. I thought they all got into this tournament, but
no,
half the teams were already eliminated, and I'm like, well, good.
Who was the player? Are you allowed to reveal?
His name is Joakim Ryan. He's L.A. King.
Yeah, sister, the famous Phoebe Ryan, a really good singer.
Really? I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. He was very humble, quiet kid, nice guy, 27-year-old D-man. But I was like, sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know you weren't playing. And I feel the same way when I see that some teams are in the second round, the losers bracket. I'm like, I don't even know how this works from sport to sport, which is part of the problem. You have to figure it out first. And then the other problem is no fans, no energy, no intensity. So that hurts. But I do think, and I've been saying it for weeks, that the NBA is taking it too far with the politics and people, lots of people. I'm not saying me, I go to sports for an escape, but a lot of people like, screw these guys. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear LeBron talk about Breonna Taylor, even if his message is sincere. I'm like, I don't want to hear it right now.
I don't know about that. Well, LeBron talks about Breonna Taylor in the post game. He doesn't do it during the game.
Really? He's not talking about while he's dribbling down court?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, he's not. That's what I mean. NBA ratings, I have it right here. NBA ratings have been on a decline. They've declined 12% since the start of 2018, 2019. And obviously the league was political then. But I mean, I think that's very convenient. Ratings were declining before, the George Floyd protests. It's just a continuation of the trend.
But we'll see what happens with football. I think football football is going to save the world. That's what they're going to do. I mean, we know lots of guys are opting out. We know there's going to be lots of changes in the rules and weird masks, and fans won't be here. But I still think football will change everything. It'll feel normal. It'll be fall. It'll be football. And unless Tom Brady gets the virus and keels over and dies, then you might have an issue. Then,
well, he takes his elderberries. That'll never happen to him. Don't worry.
True. He's got the best immune system.
He's taking immunity boosters. I mean, the thing about the football is it's going to look very weird with no fans. Football might suffer the worst from the lack of fans. They're going to have to do a lot of virtual stuff.
No, I disagree. Football's a TV show more than anything.
And part of the show is the packed stadium with like 60,000 people.
But they will have some fans. They'll have 12, 14, 16,000, whatever. I don't know why baseball doesn't do that. Why doesn't baseball have some fans?
They're not allowed to. In Massachusetts, you still can't have a gathering of like 25 people, right?
What if they all said they're there for George Floyd?
Then you can go, right? There's a Black Lives Matter belt board right outside Fenway overlooking the pike.
So I really hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
I think you were onto something before we started talking about sports, is that the Biden-Trump thing and just the whole polarization of the country right now feels almost like it replaces sports. It's got intensity and competition, and I find it much more interesting than the Major League, the start of the MLB season. You know what I mean? It just feels like, we're I'm on one team, you're on the other, and we're going at it, man. We
have been going at it.
This is a contact sport, and I'm enjoying it.
High risk. Well, I mean, exactly. And it just seems very small-minded right now with everything going on to be locked in on these fake tournaments that are played in front of nobody. As Portnoy said, it feels like the preseason, And I don't know. I wonder. I guess football is different because it always is different, and the NFL is such an event. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be in the throes of the election. I don't know. It might not be as. It might not. The NFL might struggle ratings wise, relatively speaking, as well. I mean, in 2016 they did before the Clinton-Trump election.
I'll be into football and I'll be into golf because we said this many times. It'll be like a major every week. It'll be good. I'm not sure if basketball or baseball is going to capture my attention. God knows in Boston, the baseball team stinks, which really, breaks my heart.
I know it does.
So bad. But
Brett, Boston teams are 3-12 since sports restarted, Jerry. So here's the question I would like to ask. Is the period of championships over in Boston sports? What do you think?
Period of championships?
Our great success here.
Don't the Bruins have a chance to win the championship?
Dave Pasternak, let's go. I mean, what's going on here?
They got to turn it up. I mean, it's only been one game, Alex. We can't overreact to one game.
I don't know about that. They should be ready.
I think they're going to I think they're going to win the championship. And then the Patriots, Cam Newton, who knows? They're going to win their division. I'll say that. They're going to win their division. What happens when a coach like Andy Reid tests positive?
Think Andy Reid's high risk for coronavirus?
I think Andy Reid is high risk. And then what? The whole country's waiting to see, is Andy Reid going to survive? Is he on a ventilator? Is he intubated? I mean, that will be wild.
The season would stop if Andy Reid or the coach went to the hospital or, God forbid, suffered intense.
The season would stop in the whole league?
I think so. How could they keep playing?
Easy. You keep playing if you got the flu, right? You'd keep playing.
Well, what if Andy Reid is on a ventilator in the ICU and it's touch and go? I don't know. That's a really, if sports are ending if somebody passes away from them playing sports. I mean, there's no way that they can continue if that happens. No way.
It'll be wild. It's gonna, you know what? Things are gonna get even wilder because let's be honest, you people, you Trump haters, you got some more stuff up your sleeve. We've gone through the Russian hoax and the Kavanaugh thing and the Ukraine thing and Stormy Daniels. You got some more tricks up your sleeve, and the next 3 months we're going to see it. I don't know what it's going to be, but there's going to be something. Maybe it'll involve Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I mean, I wish her well. Why wouldn't I wish her well? I wish everybody well. Can you please explain what do you think is the motivation behind that? Because there are two theories that Trump, that Ghislaine Maxwell has something on Trump, just like Roger Stone and Paul Manafort did. So Trump is setting the table to eventually maybe pardon her, commute her sentence if he gets another term. Or is Trump just a buffoon and is like, this woman was nice to me, and anyone who's nice to me, I wish well? Like,
I think B is more likely. I don't know if he's buffoon. He's just, his instinct is to say, yeah, I wish, if he doesn't know enough about the person, to just say, yeah, I wish him well. He couldn't do it for John Lewis, but he did it for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Listen, John Lewis.
The John Lewis answer was so bad, and I defended him every day for not going to the funeral and not going to the memorial. He shouldn't have. They hated each other. But it was such an easy answer. You say he was a great civil rights leader. He did amazing things in the 60s. But after that, he was a terrible congressman. I disagreed with him on everything. Period. You move on. I wish him well. I wish his family well. To sit there and say, was he an impressive person? He goes, I don't know. I know
a lot of impressive people. I know a lot of not impressive people.
It was such a bad answer, but that's what he does sometimes. It's all about his personal grievance with that person. And I guess he doesn't have a grievance with Ghislaine, at least not yet. See, I think he's looking forward to her spilling the beans because I don't think he'll get implicated, but I do think that Bill Clinton's already been implicated. You got to look hard to find that in the news that a former president's been implicated in a pedophile ring, and so will Prince Andrew, and so Dave is praying every night. He gets on his knees and he prays every night that Dershowitz will get swept up in it with the rest of these.
I think Dershowitz has
geriatric scumbags.
What's he looks really good that he then negotiated the immunity deal to hide the co-conspirators with him himself being a co-conspirator.
Right.
Like
and
that's
who out there is on team Alan Dershowitz, just in general? Like, why is he fighting back? He should just disappear because everybody hates him on both sides of the aisle. So
he
get
can
the hell out
never
of there.
disappear. He's 80 years old and he can't be on team. I mean,
somebody texted me that Alan Dershowitz was on Tucker the other night. Did Tucker have him on?
Tucker? I don't think so. Maybe it was I missed it, but he'll be on Newsmax. He'll be on Blaze TV. He'll go on anything. He'll come on here if you lie to him about why I want to interview him. You could get him on. We can ambush him. But
I want you and Alan Dershowitz to have your own Newsmax show.
I could do that. We agree on a lot of Trump stuff. So,
right. I mean, he was leading the impeachment proceeding, or he was part of the impeachment team not too long ago.
But his claim was that he just went to the Epstein mansion for a massage. Epstein mansion where the walls were adorned by pictures of young girls naked. Sure. They had a picture. Did you hear in his New Mexico mansion, they had a picture of Ghislaine naked over the pool with her legs spread. There's a photo, a big picture of that out in public. And you know who was at the New Mexico mansion? Hillary. Not just Bill. Hillary.
She was? I didn't know this. Where? When?
I don't know the date, but she's so pathetic. I don't even want to. I don't think she was, having sex with children. He was. She wasn't.
Well, he was
What's the big deal?
never
What's
there.
the big deal? Former president, icon in the Democrat Party, was having sex with young children. What's the big deal?
Well, I mean, hold on. In our in the great man Baroness, the brief did not say that he was having sex, just that he was on the private island, Jerry. He was enjoying a nice tropical getaway. You know?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think he was there to play volleyball. That's what he was there to play.
Oh,
to play spike ball on the beach with 13-year-old girls. That's what he was there for. Oh my God.
I mean, Bill Richardson. I want to hear more about Bill Richardson's involvement too.
He's disgusting too. By the way, I bet you he spent some time at the New Mexico ranch, Bill Richardson. But I'm with you. I got a couple things to get to. The latest cancel culture and the dumbest apology I think I've ever heard from actor Ryan Reynolds. We'll get to that after I tell you about Shea Concrete. This is for you homeowners and home builders. You know about Shea. They got the best selection of precast concrete steps in the business. Whether you're building a new home or you need to replace an old stair in an old home, Shea has great values with designs for any home. Speaking of values, the value of a home would go through the roof if you added this little feature. Steps, precast concrete steps, or you can customize with beautiful stone, granite, or brick. A new staircase can dramatically upgrade the front entrance to your home. In most cases, they can remove your old stairs, which is a not easy thing to do. Those suckers are heavy. And have you walking up your new front steps within hours. You can sit inside, crank the AC, look out the window, and watch the great people at Shea do this for your home. And when they're done, your home will look better and be worth more. Learn more about Shea's precast concrete steps at sheaconcrete.com. And while you're there, maybe you can look for a job. They're always hiring. They have 4 state-of-the-art facilities around New England, all of them looking for people, good people, always looking for CDL drivers. You can see what openings they have, see if it might be a good fit for you at sheaconcrete.com, or you can just send your resume to jobs at sheaconcrete.com. All right. I want to get to a couple things, before Alex goes back to doing one of his 27 other jobs. What are you working on today? Anything good? Media?
Well, today's a big day, Jerry. I'm going to a census onboarding course.
A what?
A U.S. Census. I'm going to do the census for a few hours a week.
Do it? What does do it mean? Go house to house?
You knock on the doors. Hello. You haven't responded. Yes, it pays well. Why not?
Okay.
That's why I showered today.
Hardest working commie I know. Amazing.
Well, I gotta make the money somehow. I can't rely on the old man.
Handout is no more, so people actually have to go back to work.
I never got the handout. I was working during all this.
Great news for restaurant owners and gym owners and small business owners, the people, pavers and concrete people, because people who were given incentive, it's not their fault, they were given incentive by the government to stay home, are now ready to go back to work. This is good for the country, bad for Democrats, so they're trying to keep
just in time for the gyms to close again in a couple of weeks in Massachusetts. So
no kidding. But 2 things. One, a film festival in Oregon. you can't make this up. Canceled one of the movies that was going to be presented. I believe it was a drive-in film festival, which is what you have to do. They canceled Kindergarten Cop, not because it's a terrible movie, but because it presented a police officer in his school. The police officer was Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was undercover as like a kindergarten teacher. And they canceled it because they don't want to show cops in schools. God, we need more of this, Alex, because people on your side have just lost their minds. Canceling Kindergarten Cop.
It's a very important issue.
That's the latest. But here's my favorite story of the day, and I tweeted about it because it is, I don't know if you call it like a new trend, but it's got to start with something, and I'll explain. Ryan Reynolds, who's married to Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds is the Deadpool guy, an actor, a good liberal, good moonbat, and Blake Lively, same thing. In 2002, they got married. 8 years ago, they got married at a place called Boone Hall in South Carolina. An idyllic scenery, according to the Daily Wire story I'm reading. And no one thought anything of it initially. It was like, yeah, that's nice. Well, years later, he realized, I guess, or, he thought about it and realized it used to be a plantation with slaves. 150,
Yeah.
200 years ago, the place he got married. So he offered this unbelievable apology, where he just said, getting married there was a giant effing mistake. It's something we'll always be deeply and unreservedly sorry for. It's impossible to reconcile.
Right.
Years ago, we got married again at home, but shame works in weird ways. A giant effing mistake like that can either cause you to shut down or it can reframe things and move you into action. It doesn't mean you won't fuck up again, but repatterning, this guy makes up words, repatterning and challenging lifelong social conditioning is a job that doesn't end, he said to Fast Company magazine. Fast Company. How many people read Fast Company? He'd have more. He'd
So
reach
random,
more people going on, talking to you at Forbes.com than he does at Fast
Thank
Company.
you. He should.
But think of the whole new possibilities here. As I did yesterday, I tweeted this out. I had lunch recently in Salem, Mass, and for that, I met my friend. We had lunch. I deeply apologize to anybody whose ancestors were witches and were burned at the stake or hanged in Salem 500 years ago. Do you have anything you'd like to apologize for, Reimer?
I have no apologies, no regrets, no apologies.
Yeah. Well, what if you find out that, like in P-Town, once upon a time, that some settler killed an Indian? You're going to apologize for going to P-Town?
Never. No, it's homophobic to make me.
I want to apologize for
P-Town.
living in Charlestown because there was a Bunker Hill. The Battle of Bunker Hill, and the good guys lost.
Well, I mean, as Blake's as Ryan Reynolds says, they saw at the time a wedding venue on Pinterest, and then afterwards they saw a place built upon devastating tragedy. They didn't know what a plantation was before
endorsing slave. Are you really going to defend this apology? Are you?
No,
really?
I'm saying he didn't know what a plantation was before George Floyd was killed.
It's not a plantation anymore.
I'm kidding. I mean, how could he not know what a plantation was before? I mean, like he didn't understand in 2012, Ryan Reynolds or Blake Lively didn't understand a plantation. Oh yeah, black people used to be enslaved here. They didn't understand that. I mean, me personally, I would not have my wedding at a plantation. I think it'd be weird and creepy. And I've been to a plantation. It sucked. Have you toured any plantations?
Yes.
Yeah, they're boring. I mean, they whitewash history. They talk about the architecture of the place. I'm like, oh, didn't anything else noteworthy happen here? Or was it just, the new curtains in the kitchen?
Place like, I don't know, say you were getting married in Old North Church. I'm sure they used to not allow black people in there. I guarantee you they didn't allow gay marriages in there, Alex.
Well, I wouldn't get married in a church.
Okay, it's just an example. We now have to explore our past and ask if anything we've ever done, we did at a place that used to do bad things.
No, I agree. But to me, getting married at a plantation is weird. Why would you want? I would not want to celebrate.
Venue. It has nothing to do with what.
There are other beautiful venues. I mean,
okay, give me one. Give me another beautiful venue.
You get married on the Charles here in Boston. I mean, I don't know. There are tons of beautiful venues in this country. You can go to a place besides a plantation for a nice scenery.
I got one. Very historic, Faneuil Hall. What do you think of that?
No.
Mr. Faneuil was a slave trader.
Well, they took down a statue there, right? Wasn't there a statue you were angry about that was being taken down in Faneuil Hall?
Faneuil Hall. That was in Park Square, and that was Abe Lincoln with a freed slave. A statue paid for by freed slaves. But that's, that caused some hurt feelings. So
you could get married. You could get married there.
Get married at Faneuil Hall. Oh, get married by you can't get married by a Lincoln statue. Lincoln, I don't know what he did. Why are we canceling Lincoln?
Right. Well, that's good reason enough, is it not?
I don't know. It just seems it would open up a whole new world of possibilities that you have to re-examine. I got married in a Catholic church. I apologize for that to you because Catholic churches don't do gay marriages.
Would you get married in a Catholic church now, knowing what you know?
Probably not. It's a long. I don't think we have time to explore that.
Oh yes, I know. Yes, you have. One day we're going to get that story.
Yes,
the funeral story.
We're going to get the funeral story. That was the day I became a very disillusioned Catholic. But we'll do it another day. I'm not. It's a long story. It's a long story, but I mean, I would still probably have a religious component. It wouldn't be a secular marriage like yours is going to be. Are you going to invite me to your wedding?
Yeah, you can come. Sure. I'm inviting the whole WEI family.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention the latest wave of layoffs in our business, in the media business. In Boston, NBC is like wiping people out around the country, and Boston was no exception. They dumped our old friend Gary Tangway, which is too bad. We like Tangway. We both tweeted about it. He is just as I pointed out, he's an original, and he's like the least pretentious guy I've ever known. That's what I like about him. He's a guy who speaks his mind and doesn't apologize for being the goofball that he is. He's just so real. I'm not surprised to get dumped for a bunch. They kept a bunch of phonies, and they got rid of the original guy, the guy who doesn't ever fake it. You got to fake it in TV. That's how you survive in TV, Alex.
Well, he's had a hell of a career. He's been on for so long. I'd say he survived for a while before the pandemic.
Plus, he's got his acting. He was in that terrible movie, the Knives Out. Did you see Knives Out?
I did not. No.
He's got a big role in that. He's very good. The movie sucks, but he's good in it.
Do you know what I saw over the weekend, though? Uncut Gems.
So is that all you have to say about Tangway, that he's been around a while? That's it?
No. I actually never worked with Gary at WEI. We were always, our bands never overlapped. I was banned from the show when he was on, and he was banned when I was on. So,
yeah, but you both stormed off.
We've both stormed off many times, but I know Gary, even though I never worked with him, he reached out to me a few times. It's always been great to me. I think Gary's a great guy. And, Jerry, you never forget people who, in this business especially, who reach out to you when you're at your lowest. And Gary was somebody after the Brady thing who, again, I didn't really have a personal relationship with, but he reached out to me. He defended me vehemently on the air, I remember, with you guys. And not many people were doing that back then. And you always remember people who reach out to you with encouraging words, especially when you're at a low point. So, Gary, a great guy. And a lot of people have those stories too about him. It's,
and he'd always be on some diet, and he'd just the goofiest, kind of outlook on life. I remember one day he was talking about getting in shape, and he says he's decided, that fit people are vain people. He goes,
right.
I'm not vain. I'm not gonna get in shape. The hell with it. I like, the way I look, and he's just an oddball. And
I will always say,
walk off twice. And both times, the boss wanted to get rid of him because, that's like a cardinal sin, walking off the show, live show. And Kirk and I had to go to the boss and, ask him to let him back, show him, give him a break, let him back in because we love the guy. I remember one day, both Kirk and I lost our parents. It was kind of public and open, and we talked about it a lot. And Gary, we remember the day. I remember the time my parents died on the day. And Gary said, didn't even know what month his parents died. Wasn't sure what year. Never went to the cemetery. And he says, he doesn't look back. He just looks forward. He lives in the moment. He just got a good attitude. And sometimes you just had to laugh. He was so strange.
Oh, I always thought that the best shows were you, Kirk, and Gary back during the Dennis and Callahan days when Tangway was really locked in. Tangway in for Dino were four beautiful words.
Tangway was, but the one thing that drove me nuts, and I said it to his face, is he thought being unprepared was charming. He thought it was, kind of his shtick to not be read, to not read up and not be prepared, just wing it. And sometimes, as you know, Alex, you can't do that. Sometimes you have to know, whatever, the Ryan Reynolds story or the Joe Biden story here. You got to know what you're talking about before you you opine on something. And he didn't care. He just said, I don't know anything about that. And he just winged it. And that would drive me nuts. But you couldn't stay mad long at Gary because there was zero phoniness to the guy.
If you're gonna get let go in media, isn't it at least like moderately comforting to know that it's like a purely financial decision? You know what I mean? Like that, it's the only reason he's gone is because they need to save money right now.
Well, there's other people who survived who probably make as much as he did.
Right.
I don't know about that. He's been there the longest. I would say
he's an old white guy. It is tough to survive if you're an old white guy.
Yeah, but Tangway, I mean, was an institution with that station, especially. I mean, I thought of Comcast, Sportsnet New England, or whatever it is now, NBC Boston. I thought of Tangway, right? I mean, how could you not? He was there for 20 years.
Am I the only one in the Boston market who enjoyed Gary Tangway and Scott Zolak together? Because it didn't last too long.
Tangway and Zoe?
Yeah, I liked it personally.
I did too. I mean, I liked everything he did. He was on with Dickerson in the old days, and they had a great rapport, and they were great together. I'm not sure they're friends anymore. I don't know what happened there, but those guys were good together. They were a good duo. Maybe they can do something. As we know, as Alex knows, and I know, there's not that many jobs out there. There's not that many, opportunities. It is, I don't want to say a dying business, but certainly now during the pandemic, not a lot of hiring going on.
No, but believe me, I'm aware. I mean, that's why I'm going to the census office later today. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities. As I tweet, it's demoralizing time for our business, and I wonder where we go from here, Jerry. I really do think that not to sound like Dave Cullinane here, but subscription service, I think, across all media is really the way forward, unless you're Google or Facebook, and because ads are worthless basically everywhere else.
I was just thinking about the originals, guys. I'm not talking about me or Kirk. I'm talking about guys that we had on the radio who were odd and different and weird, and they're gone. Tangway, Reimer, Mark James. These are people.
Mark, do not throw in Mark James with me. I mean, do not do that.
You could say what you want about him. He was strange. He was not.
But he also was like the most typical sports radio guy. I mean, come on.
Wasn't.
Yes,
no, he wasn't.
I mean, he was and he wasn't. You think he could? You think he couldn't be if they told him? I mean, he was when he started. Yeah, he was, and he became.
Well, no, I remember the day. I can remember. This is like with you, the day you came out of the closet, and the day you said so many strange things. So did Tangway. And one day Mark James says, just casually says that he doesn't have sex during football season.
Right, I remember that.
I said, what? Like college or pro? He says when the season starts until the end, he doesn't have. He's like
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's just one of those things you throw out there to see if it's funny and see if it works. That's the dumbest.
No, it was just the opposite. Just the opposite.
He doesn't have sex during football season, and it's not a gimmick. It's because he just doesn't have sex. It's purely he doesn't get laid.
That's true too. But I'm telling you what. I'll tell you what he meant by it. Like he doesn't go on dates. On game day. He doesn't spend time with women because he gambles and he is just completely obsessed with college and pro football. And he's
got to be locked in.
It's like the day Mita Perel said he sits down to pee. Literally does not go to a urinal ever. And I'm like, not many people would admit that on the air. And
have you watched Midyear in Providence, Jerry?
I have not seen it yet, but I'm sure he's doing great. And only Midyear could find a job during the pandemic and in media, by the way, in the media. But it was a big day for media yesterday because the NCAA is allowing Boston College's new quarterback, a transfer from Notre Dame, allowing him to play right away. So it was a big, big day in the Mita Perel household. But anyway, RIP to Gary Tangway. I'd like to be one of those people that, like when they get laid off, I love these people say, "Oh, he'll bounce back. He'll find something." And like Steve Bulpett got laid off at the Herald after like 30 years, and everyone said, "Oh, someone's going to grab him right away." And I'm going, "No, they're not." I mean, he's a good beat guy and a good writer, but there's no jobs. I mean, there's no paper that's hiring, And Tangway is a talented guy and a funny guy, and everyone likes him, but there's no jobs. He's not going to bounce back right away. We will reach out to him, try to get him on this podcast, won't we, Cullinane?
Absolutely, we will. We sure will. I would love to have him on. He's hysterical. He's fucking great.
And he's just real. I mean, you could say anything, talk about anything, and sometimes he loses focus, but so does Alex.
Me?
By the way, Alex, yes, last time you were on last week, you were nodding off.
I was? No, I wasn't.
I think, you looked like you had like an hour's sleep, and you were just like, eh.
Really?
But you were better today. You were a little unhinged, which I like, even though most of tweeters and texters, many of the listeners don't like it.
They're all Russian bots. They're all fake.
Is that true?
Fake news. Yeah, fake news. Yeah, they're fake accounts.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me, brother. And What's your latest job? You're gonna go door to door for taking the census?
Yeah, so that should be motivation for people in the Boston area to fill out their census forms, because
So
if
you
you
don't-
don't, I will be coming to your doorstep. So
When do you do that? Like
I don't
every
know.
day?
I have to find out today. I don't know. I signed up
And-
like in February, and we're finally getting to the onboarding stage.
And you're writing for Forbes, and you're writing for everyone else. that
Out
you're-
sports, and I'm doing my thing. I'm trying
Outsports.
to rub two nickels together to make a dime.
Outsports. Yes, you do appreciate the opportunities this country has to offer. Even though you said you wanted to move to Iceland,
It's a good place, Iceland.
it is not. I mean, I've been there. You would like the penis museum.
I know.
told you about that. And you'd probably like to eat like whale blubber, but it's kind of
Yeah.
cold and kind of cloudy and a lot of hippies, and it feels kind of desolate, that kind of feeling. But I mean, it's a nice place to visit. I did that for, I don't know what it was, 4 days. I met Newt Gingrich in Iceland. I told you my Iceland stories, but you get a little stir crazy. It's an island. It's not. There's a lot of stuff they don't have there.
There's only like 330,000 people in the whole country.
The whole country, and they got rid of. They solved
The
Down
coronavirus.
syndrome. They have no Down syndrome. They celebrated that. They aborted every Down syndrome child. They do not have Down syndrome. That's how weird that island is. But you should go there sometime. You'd fit right in. Everyone thinks they're, a free spirit. Everyone thinks they're Alexander Supertramp, hiking and, eating berries and living off the land.
Well, they're all related, I think. It's a little weird, but
No, there's plenty of imports. People who are. It feels like one of those islands in the Caribbean where everyone's running away from something. Everybody's avoiding,
I can feel that. Yeah.
divorced or running
Right.
away from their parents or
Right.
the law. Everybody's running away from something in Iceland. But I can tell you all my Iceland stories another day. Thanks, Reimer. And
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving and DCU. Who else do I have to thank?
And my bookie and Raycon. And I was working on a deal with a company that Ryan Reynolds owns, so now we're fucked with that. But it's all right. It's all right. We'll move on.
What?
Yeah, or he co-owns it. Yeah, I was.
What?
He
I mean,
the cell phone company Mint. Yeah. That's why the Fast Company article was all about.
And we reached out to the Boston Bruins, correct? We wanted to get
Yes.
somebody on to talk about their effort to distance themselves from the Boston police.
This is true.
And we heard nothing back.
We heard
I'm
nothing
sh-
back.
I'm shocked.
shocked by that. But we did hear from a lot of people in the BPD, and I will be sporting a lot of their swag over the coming days.
Are
because
you
they're sending
happy,
a lot of it.
Reimer, that the Boston Bruins want no part of the Boston police? Are you on board with that?
I mean, I don't think Tuca meant anything by the hat he was wearing. I think it's a little tone deaf in this time, but I mean,
What?
that's fine.
What? Tone
Yeah,
deaf
it's
to
just
support the
yeah,
police?
yeah.
Why?
I mean, because you got to read the room a little bit. This is a time to amplify
Oh,
voices.
Jesus,
about
Alex,
social
you're the
justice.
problem here. You are the friggin' problem here. What do the Boston police have to do with George Floyd? What? Sum it up for me.
Nothing, but it's showing support for the police and our style of policing, when right now I think it's best utilized to amplify Black voices and voices for
Jesus.
social
Do
change.
you know what color the police commissioner is? Do you know what color
Yeah,
he is?
William,
Alex?
yeah, I know. He's a
William
Black.
Ross,
Yeah,
you know what?
I know.
You know what color? Like half the force is. They're minorities. What does one bad cop in Minneapolis have to do with Tuukka Rask's support of the Boston police? I would love somebody, and maybe I'll have to find somebody more articulate than you to sum that up for me, to make some
Well,
sense.
it's not just the one cop for George Floyd. I mean, it's their system
it
of
is.
policing and our style of policing.
Hold on, Alex. Before you, if George Floyd were not killed by Derek Chauvin, do you think the Boston Globe would be scolding the Bruins for supporting the Boston police?
No, but I mean, they
Of course
should have
not.
been. I mean,
Of course not.
The issues with systemic racism and policing didn't begin on May 25th when George Floyd was murdered.
Why, have you heard a lot of complaints about racist cops? On the Boston police?
No, Boston actually, which is ironic given the city's history. The BPD has a good track record.
So why would you want to lump the BPD in with the Minneapolis cops? Why?
I'm not. I'm just saying
Why
that
would
in
you
this
do that?
time,
That's-
in
doing
this
that
time,
generalized
Jerry, see that?
stereotype.
But here's the thing. But in this time of profound social upheaval, like wearing a beep, like nobody is like the police have always been supported in our nation's history. I mean,
Well,
Black
not
people
now,
haven't
not now.
been. So what do you mean
Not
not
now.
now?
Do you think people are supporting the police? Your people, your side is defunding the police. is slandering the police, maligning the police. That's what you do every day. By the way, the George Floyd video, I should have gotten your take on this earlier. The George Floyd video reveals a lot. The one thing above all others is there was no racism. There was no racial element, at least overtly, in the video. There was no one using racial slurs.
So what?
So that matters. Everybody assumed this was a racist crime against George Floyd by Derek Chauvin, right?
You don't have to use racial slurs for your actions to be racist.
What proof is there what evidence is there that this was racist?
Because I think that if George Floyd was white, a gun wouldn't have been pulled on him within seconds, and he wouldn't have had a knee on his neck for nearly 9 minutes. That's what I think.
But no. There's dozens of examples around the country where it did happen to white people. Even worse happened to white people. And we've gone through the numbers. There's no epidemic of racist police brutality, no epidemic of cops shooting unarmed black guys. It's made up. And the guy most responsible is Keith Ellison, the Antifa supporter, who's the AG in Minneapolis, who withheld this video. It was leaked. He withheld this video. We've seen this video a month ago, 2 months ago. Maybe there wouldn't be so much carnage. Maybe there wouldn't have been so much death. Maybe David Dorn would be alive today. That blood is on Keith Ellison's hands because he withheld this video. And he said his only goal is to get a conviction. He doesn't care about the truth. You're supposed to want to get the truth out if you're a public official. He just wants a conviction. And after you see that video, you have to admit, Alex, it's going to be harder than you thought to convict these Minneapolis cops.
No, because George Floyd's still saying, I can't breathe, while Derek Chauvin's knee is on his neck for nearly 9 minutes.
Same thing when he's standing up. So he's just saying they don't put any weight into it, or they should have.
Okay,
obviously.
so I'm glad we waited to an hour, 20 minutes into this show here for you to defend Derek Chauvin. That's good.
How did I defend Derek Chauvin? What are you talking about? Defend Derek Chauvin. I said guys should be put away for life.
All right, good. Well, we agree.
Okay. You know what? It's going to be hard to do? Putting him away for life because of this asshole, Keith Ellison. This video shows a very distressed George Floyd.
Right.
Who's on drugs, who has physical problems.
He's on drugs in the video. Yeah. How do we know that?
Because they tested him. They proved it. He was on fentanyl. I mean, try to keep up, Alex. Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? All right, we'll see. He made it tougher. It's going to be tougher to convict him, which is too bad. I thought it was open and shut. This is going to make it tougher. But Keith Ellison wants first-degree murder. You know that? That's not only tough. I think that's a long shot, convicting him on first-degree murder after you see this video. But maybe we'll get into it next time. Maybe there'll be more video. Maybe there'll be more stuff leaked to the Daily Mail, which was kind of strange. But anyway, good fighting with you, Reimer. Go. You better not knock on my door. Don't knock on my door when you start doing the census.
You're hiding out.
I'll be packing. I'll come. You knock on my door. I might just shoot you through the door.
Maybe then I could collect some money. That's also a good way to get money. You can sue. So there you go.
Chances. All right. See you, Reimer.
Bye.
And thanks for everyone listening. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we'll do it again tomorrow.